We'll start with opening statements. Congressman Kaptur.
Good evening. I would like to thank the Coalition for Hispanic and Latino Issues for inviting us here this evening to make progress together as Americans. I thank my opponent for coming tonight and all of you. This is what citizenship is all about. My role as a congressional candidate is to work hard to keep our recovery accelerating and to make sure that jobs for all Americans are yielded from the cooperation of our government and the private sector in order to help propel the future forward in a positive way. I support President Obama. I was a part of a coalition in the Congress that voted for the refinancing of the automotive industry, which has had tremendous impact. 1 of 8 jobs in Ohio relates to the automotive industry, the steel industry as a follow-on, and all the parts companies that are so important to us across Ohio, as well as the nation. I also very much support education. Have been able to bring millions and millions of dollars to Lorain County Community College and other colleges across our country for retraining of workers, as well as for education of the next generation. I support Head Start, programs for our young children, so that they can come to school ready to learn. In addition to that, I fight very hard for Lake Erie, for all of the assets along our shore. We live in the most sustainable place on earth, and some of the new industries and new opportunities that we will create relate to the use of that fresh water resource and the many strengths that we have along our coast, including in manufacturing, in agriculture, in the arts, in strategic metals, and so many of the other strengths that we have in the area, including sensors, one of the developing industries. I support high-speed rail and transit improvement here across the north, brought almost $1 million to the state of Ohio, which the governor returned. I'm not interested in helping us here in the north. I do not support privatization of the Turnpike. I think it should remain in the hands of the Turnpike Commission and the people of this region. It's been paid for, and we don't need to cash it out to other parts of the state or other parts of the world. I don't support the kind of Bain company capitalism that is vulture capitalism. I support creating wealth here and a stronger middle class. Thank you. I would appreciate your support very much.
Really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. I appreciate the opportunity here, sir. Thank you, and thank you very much, Marcy. Really appreciate it. My name is Samuel Joseph Wurzelbacher. I've gone by Joe Wurzelbacher all my life. I was trained as a plumber in the United States Air Force on my DD Form 214 when I was honorably discharged, skill level 5 as a journeyman plumber. Unfortunately, a lot of times what happens to military people when they get out of the Air Force, or Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, the skills they learned in the military don't qualify in the civilian world, and that hurts a lot of veterans. Last year's unemployment rate for veterans ages 24 to 26 was 18%. High unemployment rate for our veterans, and the men and women that serve our country sometimes give a little and sometimes give everything. I think we need to be able to work together, Republicans and Democrats, to promote our veterans' issues and make sure that they get the benefits they were promised, and make sure that their benefits don't get cut as time goes on, because we spend too much money as a federal government. I have a 17-year-old son, and we're expecting a new one here in February. Pretty excited about that. I'm very much a family man. I've worked hard the last 4 years, once I met Barack Obama, to really speak out about the federal government getting in each and everyone's business. I want them to be able to go out there and succeed on their own. Sometimes we fail, but failing creates character, and that's important. That's been taught to me from day one, from little boy. Character is something that unfortunately we seem to be lacking, especially in Congress and in the government in general. Too many people are arguing and screaming at each other, and they're not really representing the American people, and that's what I find at fault right now, is too many people are representing and working towards the Republican Party or working towards the Democrat Party, and they're not working for the American people. And that's why I've got in here, because I really want to work for the American people, not the PACs, not the unions, not anybody specific, everybody. And that's what we got to get back to. So thank you very much. Please go to my website, voteforcongress2012.com, and look forward to this event this evening.
first question with Mr. Wurzelbacher. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I was afraid of messing that up. Puerto Rico's political status is again up for grabs. What are your thoughts on the criteria for Puerto Rico to become a state of the union?
To become a state of the union, to know what the American dream is, to be able to sit there and hopefully make it happen is tremendous. So, I welcome the opportunity for Puerto Rico to come into America, but also the devil's in the details. I want to make sure that they understand. Well, I want the American people to know for a fact that it's a general consensus that all the Puerto Rican residents really want to become American citizens. And then I want them to understand that, coming into the American citizens, they got to follow, our Constitution, the rules and laws that we live by, and have the patriotism and love of the country that each and every one of us feels. So as long as it's not just a political grab for one party or another party, I see nothing wrong with it and enjoy that if it comes to be about it.
Congresswoman, the same question.
Yes. Puerto Ricans are already Americans, and I would leave from my colleagues in the Congress, Nydia Velázquez, Luis Gutierrez, and others, that the preference would be for the people of Puerto Rico to decide their own status. So I am neutral on that. I believe in their self-determination. I didn't have a chance to say in my opening statement, I hope this is allowed to say, I also am a candidate who completely supports Social Security and Medicare. I do not wish to privatize them, nor, like the Romney-Ryan ticket, raise the Medicare eligibility age to 67. I support the current system. Families are made strong when they are able to buy affordable insurance and when their earned benefits are not taken away from them. And Social Security and Medicare are lifeline programs for the American people. I would never cash them out. I would never voucher them out.
Thank you. The next question. Starting with you, Congresswoman. Watching the Congress and presidency unable to work together to pass needed legislation because of partisan politics, what can you do to change or alleviate this situation?
President Obama, that we have a broken immigration system. And I am a sponsor of the current DREAM Act, introduced by Howard Berman of Southern California. And I believe in a earned path to citizenship, whether it's educational achievement, whether it's military service, whether it's starting a small business or owning farmland and developing that as a business. So I think an earned path is the proper step to take, and not to offend anyone who's already in line around the world to with their application for citizenship, so that it's a fair system. But I really believe that to solve the immigration problem is going to require the renegotiation of NAFTA, so that the workers of this continent are treated like human beings and they are not exploited.
Thank you. Mr. Wurzelbacher.
Illegal immigration costed American taxpayers $118 billion last year. That's $118 billion that were spent on health care and education for illegal immigrants. So for the DREAM Act to come along, I would, anything that would incentivize bringing children over through the desert, possibly being killed by many drug cartels along our borders, I think is a bad idea. It just, you're hurting the family in that aspect. Now, as far as paths of delays to citizenship, obviously serving in the military to become an American citizen, learning the love of country, that this great country has a lot to offer many people, is a great way of doing it. But anything that incentivizes the illegal transfer over borders is just a bad idea. The American taxpayers suffer for it, and our whole point here is to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to succeed in this country, and that's really what I'm working towards. The last 30 or 40 years, party politics has been played at the expense of the American people, and we got to stop that. America is in a terrible state right now, and unfortunately, the people that brought us here are still in office. We just got to kind of clean the slate and get people in there that understands what it's like to work in the private sector, that understands every day that you have to do a good job, not just a job, but you have to do a good job to maintain your employment and actually pay the bills. I've had to do that the last 30 years of my life. From plumbing to being in the military to making sure my family is fed. That's the kind of thing that I'm going to take to Congress is, you expect good results when you hire somebody to do a job. And that's what you're doing ultimately. You're hiring me to go up there and represent your interests. And safe to say that I'm not going to be there representing just the Republican Party or just the Democrat Party. It's everybody. I mean, that's what the whole point behind this is. And so that's where it is. So please go to joeforcongress2012.com. I have over 20 videos. Everything's there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Congresswoman Carr.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's listening tonight. I would be very grateful for your consideration and your support and your vote in the coming election. I urge everyone to vote early if you can at our boards of elections in the various counties so that our votes can be cast fully this year. I want to be part of the majority in the Congress that helps this president keep accelerating the recovery so all Americans who want to work can work. I want to be part of a Democratic majority that will protect Social Security and Medicare. I want to be part of a Democratic majority that leads America into a new energy age, and part of a Democratic majority that will pass a farm bill, especially in a year of drought, that will pass a transportation bill that will lead this country into the future, that will help make America energy independent, that will hold Wall Street accountable, and will stop the outsourcing of jobs through firms like Bain Capital that really use vulture capitalism to exploit our people, take their benefits, and then cast them aside, making the few rich at the expense of the many.